Hi, my name's Hayley Walker and I work under the name Death and Delicacy as a taxidermist and artist in Perth, Western Australia. I started doing taxidermy about 5 years ago. I had been collecting different animal pieces from roadkill and bones for quite a while. I was lucky enough to work as a vet nurse and have a surgical background, and I just wanted to be able to really acknowledge the animals that died and the lives that they lived through my taxidermy work. But once I started, I just was having quite a lot of fun with making up stories about the animals and the way that they could be remembered after their death, bringing life to their death. And with roadkill and with stray animals, I was particularly touched by the lack of people to remember them, to think of them the same way that we have with our pets when they pass away, and with our human friends and family who pass away. I have a history of death in my family, and to go through the grief process and really try to focus on appreciating a life lived has been really important for me. In Western society, as opposed to other societies, I think that the connection with death is more fear-based. There's less celebration of life, the way that we see in other cultures. I think that it's something that we all need to talk about. It shouldn't be scary. It's the end of a journey, and it can be the start of a new life lesson. Without having experienced the losses in my life, I don't know that I would actually be doing what I do now. So I guess it's a new way of prompting new life lessons and new experiences. You carry them with you with a new sense of knowledge, and I think within that a new sense of personal power as well. I have started working with pets more recently. It wasn't something I really wanted to do very quickly, because there is a lot of work that goes into each animal. Each animal is an emotional experience. It's a responsibility. To be able to bring life to any dead animal is a real privilege, and to do so for a family with their pet is sometimes daunting and overwhelming, but it's because it's so tied in with love, their love of their animal. You'll want to do the very best that you possibly can do. Lots of people have a real misunderstanding about what taxidermy is. I think that some people think that it's much messier. Lots of people who come to the workshops that I host where they learn taxidermy are actually always surprised as to how it is not as gory as they thought. And in that vein, I've had all sorts of people, including vegans and vegetarians, hunters, animal welfare people, and everybody in between. Always more women than men, and I find that to be really interesting. Women involved in taxidermy add a loving and emotive element, which I think is really important for the craft and for its continued legacy throughout time. As far as being morbid, I much prefer living animals. Once people get to know me, they find that I'm really not morbid at all. I'm actually really easily scared. I don't watch horror films. I do not like being scared. I think that the work I do is providing life to dead animals. It's more of a reanimation than a deadening. I work in an ethical way. I work with animals that have died of natural causes, that have been killed in roadkill situations, and animals that have been humanely euthanized. I do not support the killing of animals for my craft at all. Quite often when working with taxidermy, I aim for a naturally occurring stance, but it is also very fun to work with anthropomorphic stances, which is basically having human qualities. Some of the taxidermy that you sometimes see online is a rat playing a little violin or something. They do start the conversation about animals being just like us, and there are so many different ways of creating with animals. There are so many different facets. You're working with fur, skin, wire, glue. I've worked with glitter, with some taxidermy and pom-poms and all sorts of things. Basically, the extent of the work that you can create is only as limited by your imagination, and there are so many wonderful artists that I follow on Instagram and online. Not everybody in my family is really super into what I do. Everybody appreciates it at their own lengths, though my mum and my stepdad in particular have always been huge supporters of me doing what I love. I get the same from my partner. The support of my family is really important to me because I'm not running a traditional 9-to-5 job. I'm not living the way that society has always deemed that we should, and therefore it's sometimes uncomfortable for me to realise that I don't do things the way that other people do. And it's really great to have people give quality feedback and love, because often throughout the process I'm my harshest critic. So I run different workshops which do involve full taxidermy of mammals, birds, small birds, wildlife, as long as people have a permit for it, which I can talk people through, and usually deals with roadkill or naturally deceased animals. I do bones and flowers, which is a workshop that involves bones that I've processed, flowers I've dehydrated, various materials. I happily work with people's schedules to organise workshops. I'm quite happy to do private workshops. We have a lot of fun in our workshops. I am a feeder, so I'll feed you lots of food if you ever want to come along to a workshop. And I'm always happy to try new projects and work with people in different capacities. Taxidermy is for everybody, and I'd really love to have you all in my studio at some point. Thanks.